Let me first, I think I like this. It's getting really exciting. Please, try to budge me with these questions. First of all, with all respect to you, the creation of Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, what have you, are the creation of colonialism. So don't talk about San Remo and don't talk about the United Nations. The United Nations, before that, the Peel Commission, the Shaw Commission, have always tried to mediate and create a Jewish state because of your Balfour Declaration. It's not because the Jews or the Jews who are diasporized and were massacred and killed. You have their own state basically in Palestine. That's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable for you to use the Jew word.
One, please.
Sorry. Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
So, San Remo or the United Nations resolution and what have you are things that we had to accept and to survive. We had to accept those realities, okay? A war broke out. Palestine was taken over, 78% of it. We were left with 22%. It was divided between Jordan and Gaza. This doesn't mean, my friend, that Israel is entitled to control even the remaining parts of Palestine. And that's why we are asking Israel, and we have accepted the United Nations resolutions. We have accepted the state of Israel on 78%. What do you want more?
With respect.
Allow me to speak. Allow me to speak. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. Firstly, I'd like to comment on the deference that's been shown to you during this speech, despite the fact that there are probably about 30 Zionists here. Let me just say to you that if we have an Israeli speaker, whether it's an ambassador or someone that wants to do a little dance or someone that wants to sing a song, a lot of these people here would make that impossible. So firstly, we're going to talk about democracy and justice. Let me show you the respect that we pro-Israelis have shown you this evening. Now to my question, sir. I want to actually make a comment, because I think you speak with forked tongue. I think you double speak. You say Jew is racism, but you've used the word Jew several times. I remember not so long ago in your speech, you said the Jewish attitudes are Jews or Goyim. Did you say that, sir? Did you say that, sir?
I did not say that.
You said Jews or Goyim.
Listen, I did not say that in the context of racism.
It is the same way. It is the same way as saying you're a Muslim or an infidel. It's the same principle.
The ideology of the present-day government with the religious dimension. With the religious dimension.
So let me ask you the question. Shouting. I made my comment. My question is this: when Israel, in 1977, when President Anwar Sadat came over to Israel and said, "Trade me land for peace," what happened? Israel gave back 3 times the size of Israel back to the whole of the Sinai. Why? Because they had a partner for peace. Who is the partner for peace? Oh, let me think. Is it Islamic Jihad? Is it Al-Aqsa Brigade? Is it Hezbollah? Is it the Palestinians? You can't agree. We don't know who we're talking to. You say you want to talk at the same level, you might say one thing to me. In English, in Arabic, it's a whole different story. We know that we're not stupid. Half the Israelis speak Arabic. They know what you're saying. So, sir, you speak with forked tongue.
Can I answer you, sir?
Yes, please.
I've just heard you. I heard you enough.
Well, I've heard you enough as well.
Well, if you don't like what I say...
This is not about you, tell him I heard you enough.
If this debate is not going to be based on democracy, that we Palestinians and Israelis, like, I think we should stop. If you want to argue...
Don't like the other side. You only want one side.
If you want to argue, I would like you to argue with respect.
I've been most respectful.
I respect you, sir. And I respect what you stand for. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Some people have to speak.
Not you.
Okay?
Just keep on, please.
again that it's not the Islamic Jihad, neither Hamas nor Hezbollah that signed the Oslo Agreement. It was the PLO, my friend. The negotiator today is President Abbas. It's not Ismail Haniyeh, neither Mash'ar. You have to make the distinction. They are not part of the PLO. The PLO made the agreement with Israel. The PLO had recognized the state of Israel. It did not recognize the Jewish state. It recognized the state of Israel. And it has accepted to embark in a process in order to come with understanding of ending the conflict with the independent Palestinian state over the 1967 borders. Now we had went 9 yards by accepting the realities of these colonies. We said that we could go back to the 1967 borders and try basically to negotiate a final deal with land swap. Land swap is the concept that gave the flexibility to the Palestinians and to the Israelis to see how they are going to end the conflict by having all these colonies over there. This is where we have embarked on this process. I have nothing. For your information, I've been teaching with an Israeli professor for 20 years, every summer, and this summer is coming in July, at the University of Maryland. Do you know, sir, what I teach with him? I teach the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and how to solve that conflict. I have still hope. There are many progressive Israelis in Israel. Today, they are supporting the justice of the Palestinians.
I remember watching Arafat with my dad on the White House lawns, and that's what you reminds me of him, because he reneged on the peace treaty. You've just said Abbas now is different to the PLO, and he isn't. He takes his orders. He said out of his own mouth that he will never say Israel has a right to exist. So, no, you can shake your head, but you stand there and lie. But I do have to say as well, besides that, people in this room know you're a diplomat and you come out with lies, because Arafat did it and you're doing no different. To my family, who are Catholics, and you do not, you say you're a Catholic and you're a liar, because the Catholics where God has said, I give this land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, my dad fought for me at war, but I have the right to speak.
Which side? Yeah, which side?
Can I ask a respectful question? Yeah, my name's John Smith from St. Joseph. I'm a Catholic too. I've been to Jerusalem. I think it's so. Excuse me, missus. I never shouted over you. I never shouted over you. I'm sorry. Please, a little bit of respect, Yeah, I'm a Catholic too. Have you been to Jerusalem? Okay. Alright, so I just think it's a bit more respect for the ambassador. I think your talk was fantastic, by the way. I think we should give you another round of applause. No, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. You gave us a wonderful, wonderful insight And we were here, we seen the premiere of a new film, The Stones Cry Out, talks about the plight of Christians also in the Holy Land, and that's really insightful as well. My question is regarding the peace process, and you said that. I have to agree with you. The Americans now are such a terrible broker, if you like, the honest broker. I think that role is gone. Who would you like to see in the role of an honest broker within Palestine?
President Putin. President Putin.
No comments.
I respect, man, everything you have said. And I don't take it with a pinch of salt. Because I need to answer it. And I have to answer it. Because if I believe in democracy, I've heard you, and you have to hear it. Okay? If I want to introduce myself to this audience, if I want to introduce myself to this audience, I am first of all an Armenian by ethnic origin. An Armenian by ethnic origin who has been massacred 1.5 million genocide at the hands of the Turks. I am Christian by religion and a proud Catholic by denomination. I am Palestinian by birth and citizenship. I am an Arab by nationality and a Muslim by civilization. That's my answer to you. As for Mr. Johnson,
Can you please, you have to go.
you know, I'm a little bit confused because I don't think you know your religion. No, you don't. You know who are, you are Catholic? The evangelists, the Christian Zionists are preaching what you're saying. Not the Catholics. It's power politics that makes us understand the reality that there is no power in this world except the US that has strong ties with Israel that could change the facts of life there. But if you want my opinion, the Americans had their share for 20 years and they did not bring the two peoples together. They did not broker that kind of peace. I pray every day for Mr. Kerry to succeed in his mission. We are suffering enough suffering and humiliations. We are suffering. Nobody said rockets are good, rockets are bad, but military Apaches and Cobras and incursions and extrajudicial killings and killing with intentions of killing is not equated with resistance, my lady. My answer to you, if we had a united Europe who will shoulder this responsibility, I can see a tunnel and a light at the end of the tunnel. But neither Israel would like that, nor the United States. That is the problem.
Earlier this month, Palestine has joined a number of United Nations conventions, and 15 of them, I think.
Yes.
And I wondered if you could perhaps tell us a bit about that, because you'll know things that we don't.
Yes. First of all, let me go back to the issue of the United Nations. I want to be very clear on this issue. The Palestinians, to salvage the peace process, to continue with the two-state solution, when we were cornered, we said, let's salvage this peace process by having a tacit recognition by the General Assembly, which is legally not binding, just to preserve our national identity, that these are occupied territories. It's not only inhabitants that are controlled, But these are occupied territories. That's why we went to the United Nations. But you and I know, sir, that President Mahmoud Abbas cannot cross from Ramallah to Jerusalem. He can be stopped by a 19-year-old kid carrying the arms and telling him, go back to Ramallah. You're not allowed to enter Jerusalem.
Not true.
That's the fact of
That's not
life.
true.
That's the fact of
That's
life.
not true. I've seen it. I've came back from Israel this morning and I've seen him going through with VIP pass. Don't say that.
VIP pass.
Don't say it's not true. No, that's not true. I've seen him going with his car 140 kilometers an hour, breaking the speed limit, and he allows to do it.
You are totally wrong. What does it
I'm
mean?
not wrong. I've seen it in my mind.
Yes,
You're not doing manners.
My friend, what is VIP pass? The word pass resonates apartheid. That's what pass. I hope it will be very soon where people like you will stop talking about it, because we're going to have peace with the Israelis, whether you like it or not. We recognize the state of Israel. You recognize us. We recognize the state of Israel. You recognize the Palestinian regime.
Speak up.
Here.
I wanted to ask you a question as a diplomat.
Please.
The reason I was interested, as a diplomat, the reason I was interested in coming to speak, seeing you speak, was as a member of the Palestinian Authority, as someone involved in negotiations.
As a member of the PLO, no
I apologise.
make the distinction.
Yes, yes. The EU published guidelines last year
Yes.
on
The business association agreement.
associations of people
Yes.
companies operating in the
In the occupied territories, especially in the colonies.
and there have been an increasing number of European banks and different investment organisations who have been divesting from the occupied territories. You spoke earlier about how the European Union has been channeling money into maintaining the occupation. It's not been the alternative source or the alternative negotiation partner that it might be. I was wondering whether you thought this spells promise for the future.
Yes.
or not.
Let me first by saying, first of all, I acknowledge every single thing that you said. And I would like this would be the spirit of discussion in this room. Not the finger pointing, not the blaming. I could argue till morning and debate. But do we leave this hall with the idea of bringing people together? I came here with an open heart to see solutions for our problems. Nobody's saying that everything is fine and dandy. And nobody's saying that Palestinians and Israelis are, let me say one thing. The threatening of Iran's nuclear power makes me think, as a Palestinian, we are doomed to coexist and we are doomed to die together. Now, as far as this idea, I think, the Europeans, with all respect, what makes us a little bit angry, not the idea of helping us in building our infrastructure, because, that infrastructure was built. What did Israel do in the year 2002? In the year 2000, you should have come and see the beautiful cities of the West Bank, the streets of Bethlehem, the hope for joy, the hope for peace. We were just close, touching the tip of the iceberg. 2002, the military machine of Israel destroyed everything. And the Europeans kept on paying and the Israelis kept on destroying. I'm saying, why waste that money if, in the final analysis, Israel does not want to have peace? So stop funding it. We are at the brink of saying there is no more Oslo agreement. It's over. Today, 650,000 settlers live in Jerusalem, the environs of Jerusalem, which is 10% of the West Bank, let alone the settlements 140 in the West Bank. Nothing is left. Creeping annexation and land grab is a recipe for disaster. The Europeans have been subsidizing the infrastructure of Palestinians, all right, which is at the mercy of the Israeli control policies. That's what I'm saying. Now, if the European countries, through the Business Association Agreement, through BDS and what have you, start to put pressure, I think you are hitting the bullseye. Because the only thing that makes Israel suffer is its economics. Yes, would you like to speak?
Yeah, my name's Darren. I'd first of all like to express my support and solidarity with the Palestinians in their heroic struggle. And yeah, first of all I'd like to congratulate the Palestinians in their heroic struggle. And I do think when you look at the actions of Israel and the inhumane treatment that it does to other people in society, you know, where journeys for Palestinians say take 3 hours and journeys for Israeli citizens take 45 minutes. It's like going from Liverpool to Manchester, where an Israeli would take 30 minutes, and for a Palestinian you'd have to go via Southport.
Great question.
But, well, say that, you know, that's something words, mate. But the question really about economics is the one thing I always think about meetings is people got to do actions from them to support your cause. And I'd like to know what more you want out of the people in this room on the basis of like boycott, divestment and sanctions. And further question, how do you think the imperialist policies of let's say, America, how they can be rolled back?
Let me be very frank. I am not advocating boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. I am advocating boycott, divestment, sanctions against the colonies and their products. If I still believe that Israel is my partner to peace, I cannot wear the double hats and the double standard of boycotting Israel and sitting at the same table. That's the ultimate hypocrisy. We're saying these illegal colonies are a breach to international law, and they should not be there in the first place. You should boycott the products of these colonies. I'm not saying boycott the products of Israel. And I believe that if the Americans continue with the way they are dealing with this peace process, I think this will be the end of this peace process and the beginning of a new era, my friend. And that new era is going to be based, as far as we are concerned, the PLO, peaceful resistance, non-violent resistance, civil disobedience, peaceful demonstrations. We are going to practice the Gandhi style. We are dying anyway by the bullets of the occupation. Let us die with our chest open for peace.